Hey Trevor, how you doing?
What's going on, Blake? How's it going?
Watch, things are good. So we let everyone in here. All right, something we always like to do is everyone, if you want to throw in the chat where you're calling in from. Um, Trevor and I are currently based in San Diego. I'll be in Mexico City next week, though. Usually we get people from all over the place, all over the world on these, which is really fun.
Yeah, we got a big group joining here quick.
Montreal, Gilbert, nice. Sweden,
Yeah.
Costa Rica, nice. It's always funny to see the disparity between some people in really cold places and some really warm places.
We
Um,
got the whole world covered on this
yeah,
webinar, all over the place. I love it.
very cool. All right, we'll get started here real soon. Just letting everyone get in. Thank you all for joining.
Yeah, we'll probably give it just a couple more minutes to make sure. I know we had a large attendee list here, so perfect. But I can start to kind of introduce myself and Blake. We're the two co-hosts of today's webinar. I'll be walking you guys through a lot of the different ways to drive growth with sustainability, how we work with brands at EcoDrive to really focus on ROI and transparency in all sustainability initiatives. And then I'll pass it off to my co-host and co-founder Blake to do a platform demo on what we actually offer and how sustainability leaders use our platform.
Awesome.
So, yeah, let's give it just a couple more minutes here and then we will dive in.
Yeah. We are, just so everyone knows, we have made this so that everyone can unmute and ask questions throughout. We do want this to be interactive. We will pause for some Q&A. If there's anything specific that you wanted covered, if you have questions out the gate based off of what you read about the webinar, please feel free to throw those in the chat. We've got our team that will be there to answer questions, but we'll also be taking them live throughout the webinar.
There will also be some random like interactions, dropping the industries you work in and stuff like that. So feel free to participate as much as possible because, like Blake mentioned, would love as much interaction to make this even more fun for everyone here. We could even give specific use cases or talk through your business once you see, the specific things that we're covering.
Yep.
We
Cool.
also will have a really special offer for everybody who attends the webinar today. So if you have to leave early for any reason or anything, feel free to just reach out to me or Blake or any of our sales members after this and we can get that to you. If not, make sure to wait around for like the 30-minute mark and we'll show you what that offer is. Um, and yeah, I think with that, it is probably good to kick things off. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. Give me just 1 second here. All right. Blake, can everybody see my screen?
Looks good.
Perfect. All right, let's get going here. So basically, just want to give you a high level on EcoDrive first so everybody is fully aware. What we do is we're a sustainability platform that ties measurable environmental impact into daily customer interactions for the businesses we work with. What that means is we plant trees or pull plastic from the ocean for pretty much any industry. And this is tied to a customer action. It can be tied to a customer action, like in e-commerce, for example, planting trees for online orders, or hotels pulling plastic from the ocean for guest opt-out of housekeeping. We cover all industries. We even work with companies that just have these macro sustainability goals and they want to plant 10 million trees a year and they do that through our platform. One unique thing about EcoDrive is everything we've done from the beginning has focused on two things in the space: ROI on your initiative with us, so actually seeing a return on the investment of those trees, instead of it being just a cost burden for your company. And then two, transparency. So we have a lot of experience in tree planting, but also working across all different causes where we saw firsthand the lack of transparency from, nonprofit to the businesses that we were working with. And we wanted from day one to build the best technology to actually show the good work that these nonprofits and impact suppliers are doing, whether it's in tree planting, ocean plastic removals, or anything under the umbrella of sustainability. So this is in everything that we've done and what we continue to do. And so what we're working towards, understanding that, we have a big belief that in 2025, sustainability is going to kind of rebound from the slump it took the past couple of years, budget cuts in the space. But what's going to be a key focus is that you must now see real results with your sustainability efforts, right? Everybody on this call believes that you can and believe that sustainability can actually drive revenue or drive customer outcomes for your business. That's probably why you're here, right? We're here to help you prove that out. So that's kind of a little overview on EcoDrive. Again, we are here to accomplish whatever goals you're trying to see. So if you have any questions or specific use cases, message us, schedule a call with us after. We're happy to answer anything for you. All right, let's dive in. So just an overview of what we're going to be covering today is the projects that we offer. Again, all environmental impact related, all verified, and kind of the mission around those. Then why the transparency in everything we do is so important, i.e. avoiding greenwashing, false claims, engaging customers. All of these things relate hand in hand with ROI, and we'll show you exactly how as we go on. How essentially is our Impact ID walkthrough. This is a new technology. It's first of its kind in the space. And this is where we really are helping our corporate partners avoid greenwashing and false claims and show and engage their customers or employees or key stakeholders on the exact impact that they're making. This works for blanket ESG reporting, large scale macro goals, or on an individual level with customers. Next, we're going to dive into even more examples of how businesses are driving ROI, pretty much trying to empower sustainability leaders to sell sustainability as a growth driver for your business instead of a cost burden internally to executives, as well as, prove that out for the business. Then I'll hand it over to Blake, who's going to run you through a brief platform demo of how your interaction works with our platform. Super easy sign up, takes 5 minutes, and you're pretty much ready to go. You have a dedicated account specialist to make sure that onboarding is smooth, you're fully locked and loaded, even though it is pretty turnkey for you. And then we'll go into Q&A and that special offer I was mentioning. So before I get going, again, Q&As at the end, but also throughout this entire thing. Feel free to get interactive in the chat. Blake will pause me and ask any questions that you might have. All right, with that, so our verified project marketplace, the projects that we offer, we have projects all around the world. We have tree planting projects, kelp reforestation, and ocean plastic removals. Our trees are all verified on the ground. So this is really important, right? Again, I'm sure most of you on this call have worked with tree planting organizations or nonprofits in general, where you get a donation receipt and that's kind of about it. And the reason is there's not really too much technology incorporated into their operations. And so that's what EcoDrive does with our project marketplace. It's almost like a CRM for these tree planters and these ocean plastic removers, anybody who's working on the ground, where they audit the exact information that they do. So what happens is, let's say you're a corporate partner of ours and you plant 1 million trees through our system. Those trees communicate on the ground with our nonprofit partners. You're well aware of who the nonprofit is. You're passed through all of that information. The nonprofits on the ground know they have to plant X amount of trees for your account specifically. We surface to you when those trees are planted, timestamps, geo coordinates, and photo evidence of every single tree planted. It can take up to 8 months sometimes for trees to actually get in the ground or for your plastic to be pulled at certain scale. And, when we first got started and we were working just directly with these organizations, they would always tell us it would be 15 to 30 days. And once we started to scale into the millions, it would still be 15 to 30 days. And we knew then something wasn't adding up. And so that's why we built out this technology, incorporated these partnerships so that we could help you pass that transparency back through to your key stakeholders. And I'll continue to tell you why this is important as we go along here.
Trevor, one question there that came up
Yeah.
around which standards do you offer, like Vera gold standards. So can you speak a little bit to carbon credits, how we approach those, why we don't offer them?
Yeah, so we currently don't offer carbon credits within our platform today. There's multiple reasons, but number one is they don't fit our verification criteria with timestamps, geo coordinates, and photo evidence, as well as being additive to what our companies are doing. We are actually super excited to be announcing. This is actually, I think, might be the first time we're announcing it publicly, but we will be incorporating carbon credits that do fit our criteria in probably the next 3 months or so, hopefully by Earth Month. And so that is coming soon. To date, we have not been able to verify on the ground with any carbon credit provider, even those that do follow the guidelines of Vera or Gold Standard. And so that's why we haven't been able to incorporate them, but we're really excited that we have a project partner that can. And so they will meet our
Another question. Do you provide the details of planted trees even for smaller customers?
Yes. So the details of smaller, I'm sorry, so like individual companies, what was the exact question? Can you repeat that, Blake?
Do you provide the details of planted trees even for smaller customers?
We provide the details of planted trees for anybody, small business, large business. That is number one priority for EcoDrive is the transparency. And so even on our cheapest plans, which trees start at 45 cents per tree, they can go all the way up to $8.50 for our trees in Hawaii, but our Kenya mangroves, which are our most popular project, are only 45 cents per tree. You as a small business can get started, just support tree planting, and you will see the evidence of all of your impact. And we're firm believers on making sure that our small businesses can avoid greenwashing just like our large businesses.
Yep. And on that, the cost per pound of plastic is $2 per pound, and it comes with all the same verifications. So you get that transparency, the actual evidence that tree goes in the ground, pound of plastic pulled from the ocean with the daily granular evidence, lat, longitude, geo coordinates, and content of like befores and afters.
Yep, exactly. And all of the projects are aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. I know there's a lot of um, people that work in sustainability roles on this call, and I'm sure you've aligned yourself with the UN SDGs in one way or the other. Each project has different UN SDGs that they actually hit and align with. And so if you have specific ones at your company, we'd love to know what they are and pair you with the perfect project for you outside of just climate action. Our trees in Kenya, for example, they also support the no poverty goal as well as the decent work and economic growth because we are working with local villagers on the ground, supplying them a fair wage and supporting their living. And so a lot of our projects hit and align with multiple UN sustainable development goals.
Awesome. This is great. We have a lot of questions. A couple more, one more
Great.
for you. How do you measure the carbon sequestered per tree? Do you measure carbon sequestered when the tree is fully grown, or do you measure carbon sequestered relative to size and age of the tree?
Yeah, we measure it based off of the life cycle of the tree. So it takes into account its maturity years and what it will sequester over time based off of science and different research we've done and sampling at the actual project sites. There's also monitors that we are now installing to measure that more effectively as we're entering into the carbon credit space. But right now, again, with us not being in the carbon credit space, we haven't done exact measurements outside of the life cycle of those trees because our businesses to date haven't been joining EcoDrive to completely go carbon neutral. They've been joining EcoDrive to hit either science-based targets, engage their customers, and make that sustainable and transparent impact. But
Yep.
we provide you with all of those numbers as well. So you'll know exactly how many pounds of carbon or an estimated how many pounds of carbon your trees have sequestered since you've accumulated all of those trees with EcoDrive.
Yep. And so the variance there based on project type. We do have some projects like Kenya Mangroves is more about carbon sequestration. We have biodiversity, we have agroforestry, we have wildfire restoration. Each project has a different sequestration estimates based on the type of tree, but also based on the project goal. Trevor, another follow-up to that, that's a great one, is would the customer be able to choose which species of tree? Is the carbon the primary goal or wildlife habitat taken into consideration? I just touched on that a bit, but I'll pass that back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. You get to choose which project makes the most sense for you. Some projects that we have are not really the best at carbon sequestration, but they could be wildfire rehabilitation projects in areas like the west coast of the United States, right? And so it really varies depending on how you want to partner, but that's why we try and have a large scope that we fill, whether you want to plant a specific type of tree, support a project, that has multiple impacts outside of just climate, or you're only focused on carbon sequestration. It could be you're focused on a specific region. Our team will work with you to choose the best fit for your business.
Hey, questions keep coming. Oh, this is amazing.
Okay.
What happens to the plastic that's been removed? Is there a way of assuring that it won't wash into the waterways again?
Yeah. So we partner with 4Ocean, we're their exclusive corporate partner provider where 4Ocean deploys captains and crews. They have over 300 now around the world, primarily in Florida and Bali, pulling plastic out of the ocean. The plastic that's removed is fully then goes into their recycling facilities that they set up and created into new products. This is actually a big initiative of theirs in 2025 is creating even more products with their materials outside of just the products that they sell through their bracelets. All of that is tracked, and we can send you follow-up information with a video that breaks down all of this information as well that shows the life cycle of that plastic.
Yep. 4Ocean has even gone so far as to they've created their own facilities for sorting the types of plastic because there's some that's sun damaged, some that isn't, some that's reusable. And so it gets really granular in a really incredible way of actually making sure that it's reused or it's disposed of in the correct way. One more looks like from Henriette. Is it possible to read about the social impact in the projects?
Absolutely. Yep, that is a big push for ours and something that I think both Blake and I really love about the projects is there's so much social impact that actually goes into it, right? So stories from the villagers, and this goes into even impact IDs, what I'm going to show you here in a little bit. You'll see the exact villager who planted the trees and was part of your exact session. And that's where we can then do interviews together with those villagers. There's so much cool things that are happening. Like again, in Kenya, there's a whole economy popping up around our tree planting sites because now that we're paying all of these planters a fair wage, they are now supporting other small businesses in the areas, um, you know, apparel providers, education. There's a lot of cool things and story aspects that we get.
Yep. On
Uh,
top of that, too, with things like agroforestry, you see food security, where the goal of those projects is really around sustainable agricultural and feeding communities that before hadn't had that or had areas that were devastated by non-sustainable farming practices. So lots of different, we don't have a single project that doesn't have some level of good benefit on the people doing that work as well.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So just one more note on 4Ocean. Pulled over 40 million pounds of plastic from the ocean so far. this is being pulled directly from the ocean and waterways. A lot of players in the space will pull or claim certain things around plastic. 4Ocean is one of the only organizations that operates and has captains and crews deployed in the actual ocean removing plastic. Very cool about the project. Okay, cool. Let me move on now to the industries that we cover. So, like I mentioned in the beginning, we work with companies in all industries. Whether you want to make a large, one-time or recurring annual commitment of 10 million trees, a million trees, or a million pounds of plastic, we work with you to incorporate that into your business, whether that's just, simplifying your ESG reporting, breaking that down for stakeholders, or if you want to actually incorporate that on a one-to-one basis into your business. How we work, we have a lot of different integrations in a lot of different spaces. So here's a few examples on the screen. Some of our primary industries that we cover are e-commerce, hospitality, retail and grocery, events. I'll show you some more, which is real estate, and some other industries that we cover. Examples of how to partner with us there. Again, they're limitless. Our team will work with you to help you drive ROI and engage customers with tree planting or ocean plastic removals, no matter what that customer touch point is. But some examples of our most common are planting a tree for every online order, planting trees for every order above $50. Similar to, I'm sure you've shopped on a website and see free shipping above 50. This helps to incentivize AOV. So people spending more with your company because they want to support tree planting. Hotels partner with us to incentivize their guests to opt out of housekeeping. This helps save the hotel nearly $20 per room per night when that guest opts out based off of, let me close that window, based off of saving on energy, labor, and supply waste. And so that's a big initiative for a lot of our hotels. And retail and grocery, planting trees or pulling plastic for deliveries, every order, an opt-in widget, events, travel. A lot of events companies do, they have macro sustainability goals that then they work with our dedicated teams. We help them plant enough trees to hit that. And then we do blanket marketing and really message that out across their website in a transparent way. Just a few more of the type of industries that choose EcoDrive to become a restorative business and hit their ESG goals are companies in real estate, energy, agriculture. A common use case there is planting enough trees to cover the same amount of square foot that you develop on. That's a really common use case, or just partnering with us to hit your macro sustainability goals and ESG goals.
Trevor, pause right there. One question from
Yep.
Jaden. My business is a film production company focusing on sustainability, where 10% of every client's budget goes to reforestation. Are there any other ways that my business can focus on sustainability since we don't have a lot of footprint for our services?
Yeah, that's first off really great that you do that. We actually work with other companies in media and content creation. I think one of our companies actually has told us that they've been able to get more business because what they do is they plant, depending on their price point that they offer, up to 1,000 trees per content production. Now they're doing $40,000 contracts on some of their production, but that's helped them win deals by doing, 1,000 trees, showcasing the 1,000 trees to that business and almost allocating it to the business. We've seen that be pretty tangible. Other than like the 10%, sometimes it's hard to equate the exact tangibility when it's just a percentage rather than saying, hey, you planted 1,000 trees by supporting our business. So that's one way that I would say might be able to help you stand out from competitors and drive ROI. There's probably a million other ways. Blake, if you can maybe do a separate chat with him and give him some quick ideas, maybe even send my calendar link for a quick 15-minute call, and we can really run through different use cases.
Yep. We'll open that up to everyone. We get real creative and strategic. We understand that every business is different, especially around when your sustainability goals and what you're focusing on. So it's something that our background, we come from the digital marketing and sort of digital commerce world to where we've had to get creative with this. And we've seen the application across just about every industry from you name it, from e-commerce to technology to hospitality to business services to real estate to agriculture. So we have lots of really solid playbooks of how this can be implemented that we're more than happy to share or build a custom sort of brainstorm tailored to you.
Yep. So drop your industry or business in the chat. We'll fire off some quick ideas. Again, I would love to learn more. Message Blake separately, message me. We'll send our calendar links out and you can schedule time with us. Okay, cool. So some of the businesses we work with in these different industries, Hyatt is one where they're partnering with us to incentivize their guests to opt out of housekeeping. Michael's Corporation is one that has international ESG goals that we help them to hit. We have Kodiak Cakes, who partners with us to plant a tree for every product in retail. There's a million different ways to partner here. And so again, drop your industry. We'd love to message you on how we can incorporate there. Again, focusing on that customer engagement and ROI for your specific use case. Now, why that transparency and passing that through to the customer is really important. I'm sure all of you guys know that greenwashing is top of mind for consumers, legal, corporations. Everybody is scared of it, right? And you should be, right? There's a big lack of transparency problem that's happening, and it stems back to almost what I mentioned earlier, where nonprofits, though they're doing great work, a lot of times they just don't have the technical means on the ground to really record and audit what they're doing. And so that's where we really come in. But because of that, that's what leads to, and the same thing happens in the carbon credit space, which leads to the lack of transparency back from the supplier and what's actually happening on the ground to you as the business leader. And so that's where, like, Delta Airlines recently gotten into trouble in a greenwashing scandal up to $2 billion, right? The EU, the FTC in the US, and other regulations are starting to crack down on claims similar to this that can't be backed up. And so it's very important for sustainability leaders, specifically within companies, to really focus on initiatives that can pass through that transparency so that you can pass that back and meet consumer laws and regulations in the different areas that you service.
Trevor, I'm going to pause you there real quick just before we go to the next one because we got some other industries. Educational institution, general contractor, small business consultancy, and then something else in transportation. So on those, just for sake of time, we won't dive into those. Feel free to book a call. Something that going back to the avoiding greenwashing that we've always done is everything we do is typically tied, or we try and tie to a customer action, where the only claim being made is one-to-one. One action happens, one product sold, one new customer, one tree planted, 1 pound of plastic pulled, which Trevor will now get into impact IDs. But for all of your industries that you're putting in the chat, I think an interesting way to think about this is what is an action your customer takes that you can tie impact to? That's oftentimes how we've seen it be most effective and also have that ROI element, which Trevor will get into now.
Cool. Okay, so that transparency that I was talking about, the fact that your business can't get that granular detail of what you're supporting on the ground back, well, that passes through to your customer, right? I'm sure you've shopped from businesses or supported companies that all have these net zero goals. We all have net zero goals on this call, right? Or ESG goals that we're talking about on our websites, but there's really no follow through on the consumer level that they can see a tangible evidence with, right? And what we always go to when we're explaining this to companies is just think about the grocery store example, which if anybody's ever gone to the grocery store, I'm sure you've been prompted to donate to some sort of cause when you're checking out there. I'm sure everybody also has never received any evidence after clicking yes and supporting that cause of the actual impact that happened. And so this, in a way, is the same issue that corporates are facing when working directly with suppliers. And so that's where EcoDrive is coming in. and where we've created this solution for sustainability leaders and marketing personnel, combining the two things that we again really believe needs to happen in sustainability, which is transparency and ROI on everything you do. So impact IDs is that solution. What impact IDs is it ties an exact tree with an exact ID number. That ID number then gets tied to an exact customer or employee or stakeholder, however you're partnered with us. Those IDs can be allocated in whatever makes sense for your business, even if it's not allocating out those IDs, but using it for reporting and transparency internally. But the real value add is tying it exactly to a customer. This helps you avoid greenwashing because your customer will now get all of the evidence that we provide to you in terms of the timestamps, geo coordinates, and photo evidence of their exact tree or their exact pound of plastic or kelp that was planted on their behalf when staying at your hotel or coming to your event or shopping online with you. This will also build loyalty because it's all co-branded, right? So when let's go to that grocery store example, let's say it was Kroger, you shop from Kroger, you checked out, you donated. Well, now you get an email from Kroger with your exact tree, your ID that you can click out, register, and track your exact tree, all co-branded EcoDrive times Kroger. Here's your tree, track it over its life cycle. Guess what? That's building loyalty because that customer has never seen anything like that before, and they're associating that with your business. It's also re-engaging them, getting them to drive repeat purchases on that profile because there's prompts to shop again through the emails that go out. We have a series of emails, which I'll dive more into in a bit here. But those emails help to drive repeat purchases, re-engaging your customer in a really friendly way. And then there's some really cool areas of capturing the email addresses of your retail and e-tail customers that you might not have an email address for. I'll dive into specifics here. I just want to make sure, Blake, do I have any questions
Yeah.
before going into that?
Yep. We've got a great one here, which actually will probably go down a few different paths and threads. From Henriette. Can you help me understand what kind of company you are? As far as I understand, you're a tech company with partners around the world carrying out the project you are describing. Again, as far as I understand it, you do not have people on the ground or employed by EcoDrive carrying out the projects. You have close partnerships with various companies around the world. You're tying all the ends together in a transparent, certified manner. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is great. Great explanation of what we do. I should probably lead with that next time.
Can you
But
talk a
yeah,
little bit, Trevor, about like why we exist in this space? It's kind of connecting these partners and specifically impact IDs.
yeah. So again, what we provided to partners from our beginning was a way to incorporate transparent impact, partnering with the nonprofits. We are not a tree planting organization, right? We're the software that allows them to identify, collect all of that data, and pass that through to corporates because we know how much that data means to you as a business nowadays and to your customer. We also know, because of our background in digital marketing, how important it is to drive ROI with these things. And so that's where, from the beginning, we built tools turnkey for the people that use our platform so that you, as a corporation, can make an impact. You can automate your impact through our integrations, and you can market that all at the click of a button to help you not only hit your sustainability goals, but drive revenue on your sustainability goals as well. That's why we exist. We're the software that basically ties the nonprofit to the platforms that you use, all in a way that helps you collect the transparency, pass through the transparency, and drive revenue with the transparency.
Yep. And so what you get with every project is you do know what nonprofit we're working with at the ground level, what verification partner. It's all fully transparent. We are purely that turnkey enablement piece that allows you to make that business case. That's where we saw a huge lacking, and we're trying to bridge that gap is where sustainability and impact has always been viewed as a cost center, whereas we help make that a growth center because it's transparent, because it ties to customers, because you can pass that story along in such a powerful way to your stakeholders. Awesome.
Cool.
That's all the questions.
Sweet. Okay, now let's dive into how it works. Again, it's very complex in the back end, very simple for you as the person that's actually setting this up. So how it works is you sign up to EcoDrive, 5-minute sign up, if not less. You choose the project that you want to support. Again, our team is going to work with you to make sure onboarding is extremely smooth for you. You'll have a dedicated client success manager and team supporting your launch, even though it is that simple. We'll help you choose the best project. Once you choose that project, we'll tie it to that customer action that you want. Or again, it could be that macro plant 1,000,000 trees, and then we'll figure out the best way to message that out together with you. Anyways, in this example, the customer chose planting a tree for every online order. So you can see now we have this in-cart banner that shows 1 tree planted for every order. These have actually proven to increase conversions by 17% across all of the businesses that partner with us. That speaks to you being in a shopping cart and seeing 1 tree is being planted for your order and thinking that's pretty cool, and only getting you to move forward to that next level. Next, what happens is that order gets placed. That is then communicated on the ground that 1 tree needs to be planted based off of your corporation's impact. This also accumulates over the months. And so as we get more and more trees, that pings our planters on the ground to then go out and actually deploy for planting. Once the trees are verified on the ground, we receive the information back. Again, timestamps, geo coordinates, photo evidence, all of that is surfaced to you. You'll know the planters, you'll know all of that information. Same is true across all of our projects. So Ocean Plastics, you'll know the captains and crews. You'll see before, during, and after photos. So you'll see literally trash in an area. You'll see the captains and crews cleaning it, and then you'll see it clean after with real timestamps and serial numbers allocated directly to you. We then take this a step further and allocate that directly to one of your customers that shop from you, right? And this is done through those IDs. They receive either an email after shopping that you fully set up through our platform. It's completely turnkey, branded to you again. So it would have your logo on it. It would come from you. All of it would be native to your shopping experience. Then they would land on a registration page where they'd actually be allocated their exact IDs based off of what you have to allocate. And then they get their own profile where they can actually track the impact over its entire life cycle. Someone mentioned or asked earlier about what happens to the plastic. Your customer will actually see what happens to the plastic. They'll know the captain and crews that pulled it. And then we're working on expanding into the product that it actually becomes down the road, because we do collect all of that information. Same with
Trevor,
tree.
yeah, as you get into trees, how do you ensure the trees planted remain and do not disappear? And do you replace trees that die? Can you talk a little bit about monitoring and things like that?
Yeah, so that's great, right? That's a thing that's not really talked about too much in tree planting. Survival rates are a thing. Our typical survival rate in Kenya is very high right now. It's 91%. If your trees do die, you will be made aware within these platforms. So because we have the timestamps, geo-coordinates, photo evidence, we're monitoring that every 6 months. So those same coordinates are being taken more photos of from the villagers on the ground, as well as drones in the planting areas that can report that evidence back. And that's where we figure out if it's alive or dead. We also have monitors on the ground that detect things like wildfires, any sort of event that might happen specific to the region. And so all of that information is passed through to you as the business, as well as your end customer that actually supported and planted that tree. Right now, again, we do on Kenya mangroves, it's a 91% survival rate, which is very high for the industry. We do not cover and plant for those that do die. Most of them are dying because of natural causes, or it could have just been planted wrong in the beginning. But what we always recommend is maybe planting an extra 10% more on top of that. However, mangroves, which are the tree planting project that's most common for us, they're actually germinating over their life cycle. And so they are dropping about 3 to 5 more seedlings, which are like little stems that then grow more mangroves around them. So your trees are actually 5xing over their lifetime and creating an abundance of trees around them. So that's one way to counteract that. We would just help you communicate that, right? Survival rights are a thing. We plant X amount of trees. We know that, certain things can happen, natural disasters can happen. We're constantly monitoring it. And we'll give you that full playbook on the correct messaging. And that's where our team will work hand in hand with you to communicate that properly to your customers and stakeholders.
Cool. Let's keep rolling. Trevor. I see all these other questions. We will keep going with impact days and we'll wrap up with answering all these questions at the tail end.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so those tracking emails, just to get specific, right? You basically can set that up through automations within our portal. It's turnkey. Blake was going to give you a demo. I don't know if we're going to have enough time, but if not, we'll do 15-minute demos using our calendar links at any time available for you guys. But anyways, so these again come from your business. They will have your logo in it. They'll have custom messaging at the bottom. And there's a section here that will actually work to try and drive more engagement with your customers, right? So if it's the shopping example, it'll be, hey, come back and shop again. We have a series of emails that go out. The first is immediately post action, right? So you stay at a hotel, that hotel partners with EcoDrive. They can set up right after your stay, you get an email saying, hey, register to track your tree. Here's more information, and then custom messaging about the business. And then they can set up, all of these are completely optional. We recommend all three, but right now it's all on you to publish. One that goes out 14 to 90 days later, basically incentivizing them to register, telling them, hey, their tree's being prepped for planting. Also, leave a review, join our loyalty program, come stay again, right? It's a great way to re-engage your customer in a friendly way. This is where the transparency meets ROI. So on these emails, our customers are seeing that customers that engage with these are 5 times more likely to repeat purchase off of them. And they have a 305% future value that's higher than those that don't engage with these. Really speaking to your customers do care, and those ones that do care are going to be very loyal. This is something that's going to help you sell sustainability and increase your initiatives internally. Next is a co-branded registration page. So where that customer actually lands after the email. But another value prop of this is you might not have the email address of your customer to automatically send emails, right? So you could send them here through QR codes, unique links, post-purchase widgets that land on this registration page where they can actually get their exact ID. But to do that, they're putting in their email address. When they put in their email address and click register, you can now own the email of those customers that you couldn't access before. A big use case of this is retail. If you're a business that sells in retail locations, you don't have your retail shopper readily available for you. You can't email them. You barely have any data on them. Well, if you have this QR code that says we plant a tree for every product sold, scan here to get your exact ID. They land on this registration page. As soon as they register to get their ID, you now own their email address, which is extremely valuable and a way a lot of our sustainability leaders are selling this internally to their executives are it's not how much would we pay to be sustainable or to plant a tree or pull plastic. It's how much would we pay to actually own our own customers. And that's a really valuable thing for you to have in your back pocket with this as well. And even if you do own the email addresses, it's still really valuable to know the customers that are coming through because those are customers that care more about your sustainability initiatives internally. So after they register and get their ID, they're then prompted to finish setup on their profile. This is where, let's imagine that shopper was John Doe. He put in his email, he gets his profile. This is where he can see the exact evidence of his tree. He'll know where it's planted. He'll be reminded of the business he supported, which would be your company's logo, where he can easily shop again. He can also share this profile with his friends and family, feel proud about the impact that he's making with his shopping or his stays or whatever he's doing, which then gets your business even more exposure to all of these consumers that care. Just to kind of circle all these things back. So again, everything we do is transparency and ROI focused. And it's because we know that sustainability has to be sustainable for your company in order for them to actually keep doing more initiatives and pour more money into initiatives. And that's where we really come in and where we focus on, because I think that's what's going to drive impact moving forward, especially in 2025. And so just a few little recaps of what we talked about. Ways to position this that EcoDrive supports you on is owning your customer emails and data, helping you to drive repeat purchases and loyalty with your customers, which is a huge initiative of all businesses nowadays. Increasing conversion at key customer touchpoints. Again, we see an average of 17% increase at certain touchpoints, whether it's online shopping or other industries that we partner with. And then driving sales and standing out from competitors with real tangible impact that customers care about. Again, everybody on this call knows that customers do care. We help you to actually put that into numbers that you can then represent internally to get additional buy-in. And then last but not least, specifically for hotels, is partnering with us to incentivize guests to opt out of housekeeping, which saves you on labor, energy usage, and supply waste, and helps you to hit those macro sustainability goals. We have some hotels saving hundreds of thousands of dollars a year when their guests opts out. And we have use cases similar to this in all industries. So would love to chat with you, have a call with you, and talk you through how we can build in sustainability and the highest integrity impact projects to really drive ROI for your company. With that, Blake, I'll hand it over to you for a quick platform demo.
Yep.
Or
Yeah, go ahead.
before you dive into that, I do want to announce we are, for anybody who attended the webinar today, we're giving you, if you get signed up in January, we're giving you free access to impact IDs and our portal for 2 months. It's super cheap. The portal's only $25 per month, and impact IDs are only 20 cents per usage, but that can add up on a million trees. And so that is a really, it could result in $100,000 in savings, if not more, at scale. Plus, you'll get access to our dedicated client success manager with custom designs and campaigns for launching with us.
Awesome. Cool. We've got about 10 minutes left. I'm going to do some rapid fire questions real quick and then get into the demo. So first, I saw, as you're providing a paid service, what do you do with your profits? So yes, EcoDrive, we are a for-profit and very proudly and plant our flag as a for-profit. We decided to do this as a for-profit instead of an NGO because we saw a lot of the issues in it where nonprofits are really well-intentioned, but not necessarily set up to service businesses. And our background was all about this business for good model. So we wanted to be a business that helped business integrate impact. So in terms of EcoDrive and the way that we make money, it's through technology, and our money goes towards building more technology to deliver more transparency and tools and integrations for you through the platform. So another one from Alicia, do you have packages and processes to support B2B businesses? Yes, we do have a lot of B2B businesses that we work with. We just had, for example, a lot of business services to where Schoolie Mitchell does online consulting for cost savings initiatives. And for every sales meeting booked, they plant a tree or pull a pound for that prospect and then use that impact as a way to follow up with them. So similar to everything else, we get real creative, but we do have a lot of B2B that use this as a way to, one, engage their sales prospects, two, signing for new clients, or three, doing a more macro, hey, we are doing X amount of impact this year to help stand out as a impact-driven business that typically attracts other businesses that want to work with people that align in values. Okay, let's see. Um, oh, a few more questions. This question, are there green processes tax deductible? No. So because this is not tax deductible, but we do classify as a marketing expense, so it does actually reduce net taxable income in the same way as a donation or a write-off. From David, do you showcase capacity for each project? How do you secure liquidity in the market? Yes, so we do have capacity based on project. When we talk Kenya mangroves or Eastern Africa, typically that capacity is tens of millions of trees per year. So we're often not running out of capacity there. When we do US based wildfire restoration, that may be more in the 100 to 500,000 tree range. So there is a capacity or inventory to some of these projects. And you do have insight into that. We retire them early, we project out. So if you have a set number of goal of trees you wanted to plant or impact you wanted to have, we work with you up front to make sure that there is that capacity. And so why we're also often adding new projects. Every year we do add a few new projects in our marketplace, which I will hopefully get to demo here in a second. You'll see we have about 10 live projects. We're adding 5 to 10 more this year as well. Some different impact offerings like around clean drinking water for people, and potentially like food recovery or meals for people. So more humanitarian. Each one of those comes with different scale. Ocean plastics, unfortunately, there's like it's the number I've seen range anywhere from 18 to 32 billion pounds of plastic go into the ocean every year. So unfortunately, pretty much endless scale on that one. And in terms of liquidity, so these are all direct relationships we have. So these are oftentimes exclusive partners, like when we talk like a 4Ocean or some of the verified tree planting partners, to where the inventory is essentially dedicated to us. So we go really deep. And I saw another question about how we vet partners. Because of verification, we don't work with partners that don't adopt our verification standards, which is the technology in the field. It's intense training, it's boots on the ground. It is extremely granular and takes us anywhere from 6 to 12 months to usually vet and then implement with partners across all projects. So we go really deep so that you can have that trust. It's why we have verification. A lot of it, different projects are on blockchain. So we add all these different elements so that we do that heavy lifting so that when you implement this, you have the complete trust and so does your end customer.
One quick note on that too, especially in tree planting. The other things that are key outside of just the transparency elements are we're ensuring that all of the planting is native to the region that we're planting in. So we don't go in and just destroy local ecosystems because we want to plant mangroves, which are really high at carbon sequestration. So everything we do is native. Everything we do is providing fair living wages to the planters actually doing the work. And there's some other things that we monitor, but those are the key elements that we look for.
Yep, and Bo, going to your question of how these initiatives contribute to the local community economically and changing behavior, it's huge, right? Like, so for a lot of these, poverty alleviation is the key. We're taking people that were living in extreme poverty and giving them full-time wages and jobs. On the tree planting side, they're paid to plant the trees and maintain them. On the ocean plastic cleanup side, a lot of times those were fishermen that then these areas have been devastated by waste and plastic, and so their fishing industry has been devastated. So they were ex-fishermen that are now captain and crews full time with wages, benefits, healthcare, and things like that. When we talk economically for agroforestry, it's changing the behaviors and educating them on how to do sustainable farming and agriculture. So each project is a little different. In the project brief, that's where that gets down. So in the portal, when you click into a project, there's a full who, where, what, why, story elements about all those things of why this project is important and how it helps those local people. Speaking a bit more to the how we find the project NGOs. So our background, Trevor and I, we've been doing in the tree planting space for almost a decade now. So we got started in this out of doing this on the side as a passion project, as well as working with some brands that were social good brands where you buy a piece of apparel and plant trees for that. So a lot of this came from our personal historical network of who was doing this the best in terms of a verified way. We do get introduced oftentimes to different NGOs doing incredible work. We're always open to that. We are building a platform that is capable of integrating other NGOs and product. They just have to adopt these really rigid verification standards. So if you're working with NGOs and doing specific projects that you wanted to maybe integrate with us, always open to those conversations and looking to chat with good people doing good work. Okay. Question, imagine that you have a huge emissions footprint from hosting all this data, impact IDs, timestamps, and geo. Do you track that as a company? Do you have practices to reduce and mitigate this carbon footprint? Yeah, so we track all that. That is our biggest, that's our biggest footprint, is it's on the technology side and energy. We as EcoDrive support these projects ourselves. So one, through like tools, we use a lot of big companies like your AWS that track those things for you. So we get reports, and we plant on our own behalf as well. So we are practicing what we preach in that sense. Again, we're doing it as estimates. So we're not doing carbon credits. Like we don't buy any of those. We're supporting our own projects. For small agency business with a limited number of B2B clients, what quantities of trees is a good starting point per customer? Within your budget. We see everything. We see everything from small agencies like yourself up to enterprise, public companies, Fortune 100s that integrate this in a way that fits your business model. We want this to be a success story. We want it to be impactful. We want it to drive some measurable value for you. So we don't have minimums. Trevor, if you want to stop sharing your screen, I'll go ahead and share the platform so we can get to a little bit of visual there. So with that, we don't have minimums. We make it extremely easy for you to input. So you can see here our project marketplace. The cost per project you can see is anywhere from 45 cents to a couple dollars per tree, and $2 per pound of plastic. If you click in, you can see here, this is that project brief with a full breakdown of where pounds are pulled. Same for trees. It's where, the who, the what, the where, the why, as well as the UN SDGs with a ton of information. So you can set an active project, but we also do make it very easy in the home tab to, you can integrate your system. If you have a Shopify store, if you use Stripe, if you use Calendly, if you use Eventbrite, we have hundreds of different integrations, but we do at the end of the day make it easy to select the project. If you want to do wildfire restoration in Oregon and start with 100 trees or 1,000 trees or 100,000 trees, you can simply click in and order those, and everything's on a monthly basis. So we're facilitating impact monthly. It's a 30-day rolling aggregate. Your impact is collected over those 30 days, whether you entered it custom or integrated it, and then we facilitate that. And part of the verification and trust and transparency is it doesn't happen tomorrow. It's something we ran into with our direct nonprofit planting partners, where we went from a couple hundred trees to hundreds of thousands, and it still said 14 to 28 days to plant those. It takes longer. So with impact IDs and the evidence tab, what you can see in here is the actual tracking. So this is a demo port, but you can see here 1 pound of plastic removed, or was actually verified about 1,007, and here's that impact record. So with that, you get full transparency into that. Trees take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to plant, but you do get full insight into that. Again, with impact IDs, you get that dashboard of who you've sent those to, the impact updates, as well as in the workspace, we give you some great tools like a public dashboard. So you get a public dashboard that you can share with your customers that dynamically renders based on your project, showing how much impact you've had. Great content, story-based. This is all pre-built and comes with the portal. There's a portal. Someone asked about how we make money. We have a portal fee. It's $25 per month. We're more than happy to waive that for anyone that wants to get started from this webinar. So the only cost is per impact. So it's very easy to budget. You can think, if you do X amount of online orders per month times project price or price per tree, that is your cost. And we make it really easy to do that. We've got banner builders in here so that you can customize those. These dynamically render as well based on the project you support, and live impact badges. So you can see here, if you've supported both tree planting project and pounds of plastic, you can come in here and add some really cool equivalencies. This all can live live on your site and links back to your public dashboard. Marketing resources content is obviously a big piece of this, depending on the project you support. If you look at tree planting in Oregon wildfire restoration, that's going to be very different than Kenya mangroves or kelp or ocean cleanups. I try to get through that fast. I know we had a ton of engagement. This was amazing. We're going to keep dropping all of our counter links. Please, we'll do a follow-up as well for anyone that had questions we didn't get to. But thank you so much for joining. This was some of the most engagement we've seen on one of these, which is amazing. I think that's because you all are sustainability role focused for the most part and care about this more. So you're our type of people. Our goal, again, is to empower businesses to make an impact in a way that is sustainable for them. the way that we've had the most success doing that is making a case for this to bring some type of business value to the business that other stakeholders can see that maybe don't care as much about sustainability, which unfortunately is a reality. We're trying to bridge that gap. We've got some incredible stuff. Impact IDs is the first of its kind. No one's ever been able to track their actual tree or pound of plastic from their end customer that they're doing that impact on behalf of. So we're really excited about it, and hope to be able to connect and potentially partner with you all. Trevor, anything else to
Yeah.
add?
Yeah, no, that was a great closing, but just want to thank you guys all again for joining and staying for the full hour. Would love to speak with any of you guys, not even in a salesy way, just to figure out, if this is a fit for your company, how you can incorporate it potentially, give you random ideas that we've seen work across our 700 businesses now in all industries, and see if it's something that we can move forward on. I dropped my calendar link. If you want to grab 15 minutes, I'm available anytime. And yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate
Uh,
it.
Last thing I'll add, just to cherry on top, when I say waive the monthly fee, we'll waive that forever. So the only thing you'll ever pay for is trees or pounds of plastic or kelp and impact. And all those tools and everything else included in there that you just saw, all included.
Perfect. And it looks like we got somebody who made their first impact during this call on behalf of their clients
Awesome.
in 2024, which is amazing. So that goes to show how easy it is too to really contribute to impact that's transparent. I know like a lot of what we talked about seems very complex and seems very intricate, but we try and simplify it as much as possible. And our team is very helpful for you throughout that process.
Awesome.
Great.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. We will wrap it up there.